Hey guys, and welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Down South. See, here's that cadence again. So today we are going to be trying to build a reasonably competitive deck from three, that's right, just three Lair Darkness structure decks. Now they're all ordered out here, sort of in three ofs, and the reason we're doing this is because a lot of players, they ask me, Adam, I'm new to the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! What should I buy? Who should I talk to? What do I do to get started in this game? And here's the answer. You buy three of the latest structure deck, in this case, our Lair of Darkness structure deck, and you make a reasonable deck with them. Then you can just start playing slowly, start making friends, start opening packs from tournament prizing, and slowly start to build up your collection. And I'm going to take you through sort of my general process for deck building with this deck, and we'll see what comes out at the end. So I'm going to start off just by showing you sort of each card and then highlighting why we're going to put it in the deck or why we wouldn't want to, and so on. So starting off, we got three Lilith, Lady of Lament over there. Well, we have the option of playing three, and I'm going to say yes, we're definitely going to want three Lilith in this deck, because Lilith is your sort of main starter of the deck in terms of searching out traps and just generally being cool because you contribute monsters and sort of get your engine started. And this sort of three of technique is something I use. It's called sort of building a deck of threes. So you kind of take your entire card pool and you choose, okay, what cards do I want in my deck? And then you put three of whatever card you want in your deck. That's going to give you a huge deck. And we can cut it down from there. So let's sort of just go through every card in the Lair of Darkness structure deck, and we'll see what's good and what's not, and what we can sort of immediately start discarding. So here, triple Diablos probably also goes in the deck because it's pretty, it's your big boss monster, so of course you'd want a couple at least. So we're definitely going to be using Diablos. 3 Arma, because he searches out Lair of Darkness and we don't have terraforming. We're obviously going to be using triple Lair of Darkness because it's our structure deck sort of field spell, and it is a good card that gets all of our major combos going and helps us get rid of some of our opponent's monsters, so we'll definitely want three of those. And then I'm also going to elect to play triple Grinning Grave Virus because it is sort of the best trap that we have in this deck, so I'm definitely going to run three of that as well. And then we start getting into like the other things, and we can start to decide whether we want it or not. So Duke said the Sinister Shadow Lord, it's okay, and it can get to be a little bit beefy, but he's got a couple too many restrictions, so I'm probably going to leave him out of this build, so I'm just going to leave those over there. Triple Diablos, you'll see that this deck has a lot of high level monsters, and we don't necessarily always want that, so I'm going to leave out a lot of these sort of high level monsters that we're getting to in this first couple of cards. So those are just going to be completely out of our deck on the whole, that like multiple tribute, just giant beater cards, because like that's not really competitive. You're going to be stuck with too many bricks. For those of you who are new, don't know what I say when I mean brick, I mean like if you're stuck with a bunch of high level monsters in your hand, they're as useful as bricks because you can't do anything with them until you have tribute fodder. So a lot of those sorts of cards. We've got Lich Lords here as well that we're going to leave out. We got Prometheus, King of Shadows, but Prometheus doesn't really have a particularly great effect. And he's only a 1200 body, so he's not going in either. We've got Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror, also not going in. Chaos is interesting, even though he can be sort of bricky because you need multiple monsters, or you need a tribute summon monster to summon him. But I'm going to keep him in for now because we might end up using sort of one or two of him because it's just generally a pretty good card all around. So 3 Chaos can go over here on our 3 of shortlist for now. Legendary Emoji Garzet's also interesting. I'm going to include him because he's just spicy. His effect reads that he can be special summoned by tributing all monsters you control, and he gains the attack of all of them. Now, it's really easy to get Diablos or multiple Diablos on the board. So there's the potential for Legendary Emoji Garzet to just be insanely large. So I'm going to leave him in for now. We probably won't run 3, but we might run 1 or 2. So let's put him on our short list. Vandy's Fiend, similarly, Vandy's Fiend is just insane as a card. The ability to just lock people down. And potentially, if we want to use Caius, we contribute, because we'll have tribute summoned into Vandy's Fiend, we contribute off Vandy's Fiend for Caius to only tribute one monster instead. So let's see where Vandy's Fiend gets us as well. So I'm just going to move these off a little more to the side so that we have a bit more space. Next up, we have Mist Archfiend. Mist Archfiend is interesting, but again, it's a giant level 5 that we don't necessarily want to use because it's not going to be easiest for us to get into it. We have Infernal Dragon here. Now, Infernal Dragon's kind of interesting, but it's a little bit too situational. It is a big level 4 though, so I'm going to leave it out here for now just to see what we come up with. And what we're going to end up working with on the whole. Archfiend Cavalry, not really that great. I mean, it's cool, but we're already running triple Infernal Dragon as a beater, so we're not going to use him. Street Patrols. Now, Street Patrol is interesting, but again, it's not too amazing except for the fact that it allows you to special summon a Fiend monster with 2,000 or less attack from your hand. But again, so far, we don't have that many 2,000 or less monsters, really. So I'll leave it down here. We might use him, but for now, well, yeah, why not? Let's put him up there. Maybe we'll use him, maybe we won't. We'll see how many cards we're going with. Phantom of Chaos, we're definitely going to run, because Phantom of Chaos just copies the effects of things in our graveyard. So it can copy things like Lilith's effect or Diabolus's effect, just to sort of give you general things. I think it also copies the original attack as well, which means that Phantom of Chaos in a pinch can be definitely a pretty good beater. So we're definitely going to put those aside over there, because we might use them. Plague Wolf, not really that great in this situation. Doesn't really do much except for the fact that it can double its own attack, so it can become a beater, but then it destroys himself, and we want to keep field presence on the board, so we're not going to use Plague Wolf. Fiendish Rhino Warrior, I don't know about yet, so I'm going to leave him in for now, but we'll likely end up cutting him. He's just cool because he allows us to send stuff from our deck to the graveyard, and allows us to protect our other fiends like Lilith from destruction by battle. So they have to sort of target Fiendish Rhino Warrior. So we'll leave him in for now. Curry Bandit's also a fantastic card. For those of you who don't know what Curry Bandit does, you tribute him to excavate the top couple of cards of your deck, and then you can add a spell or trap to your hand. However, we're running a little bit monster heavy at the moment, but this is probably just because we're only going through monsters so far. So I'm a little worried as to how well Curry Bandit's going to work out, especially because we're going to need some semblance of field presence. You know what? Actually, let's keep him in. We're probably only going to run maybe one or two, but he's a potential. So down he goes. Turgite from the Underworld, we're definitely going to run just for general field presence. Turgite, however, does mean that we'll need to run at least one level 3 Fiend as a Turgite target, maybe even 2. So we're definitely going to run her. These two are irrelevant because she's at 1. Backjack, so far we're not really running that many traps, and I don't feel like Backjack does enough for our strategy of kind of protecting the castle over Diablos for the most part. So he's going to go out. Wheeling Karibo is cute, but again, his stat line doesn't really represent what we're going to be looking for in terms of general monsters. So, especially if we have something like Curry Bandit wasting up our normal summon, we don't really want another thing that's going to be dealing with weird stuff when it comes to our normal summon. So, not going to run these guys either. Recurring Nightmare is interesting because we need enough targets for Recurring Nightmare to really proc properly. And currently our only targets are Lilith, our Infernal Dragon, Legendary Magic Guardian. So we have enough targets. So we're definitely actually going to run Recurring Nightmares just to allow us to sort of replenish our hand slightly. So I'm just going to move these down here for now. We've got our finished monster lineup. So there's 3 Recurring Nightmares, 2 to add to the pile. We're definitely, without a doubt, running triple Allure of Darkness for that mad consistency. Boom, boom, boom. Hand Destruction, the next card up, we are probably not gonna run because it's just a -1 to us, even though it replenishes our hand. It's not that great in terms of our current scenario, so not gonna run that. Either Foolish Burial Goods, also likely not necessarily gonna run because there's no things that we necessarily want in our graveyard terribly just yet, so we'll probably give this a pass for now. Don't worry, we can come back later to the cards that we're discarding once we sort of start figuring out ratios and figuring out what we want to put back in. But for now, Foolish Burial Goods is going to be put off to the side. Boogie Trap, just way too expensive. Discard 2 cards to target a trap in your graveyard and set it. That is 3 cards for 1 trap. It's a -2 and definitely not running that. 5 Doomsday is good because we need tokens, and it's kind of like Scapegoat, so it helps sort of protect us in some scenarios, so these are definitely going into the consideration pile for now. Because remember, we are running with just 3 Lair of Dark Destruction decks here, no terraformings, no anything else particularly special yet, so we kind of have to make do in some cases with what we have. Veil of Darkness just allows us to discard dark monsters and draw cards potentially. Which is cute, but I don't know how I feel about it, and it will take quite a while to get going, so it's not really any sort of real instantaneous plus, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that immediate sort of advantage, because remember, this deck is not going to be the best, amazing, most best deck ever, especially without things like terraforming and some other basic cards, so we kind of have to make do with what we have for now. So these are going to go off to the side for now, and we'll see what we can do later. Then we get to our other virus cards. We've got Crush Card Virus. Now, Crush Card Virus makes us tribute a dark with 1,000 or less attack. And then it destroys monsters in the hand and that they control. This is potential, and like it's okay, but if you look at a lot of the cards that we have here currently, we're not running that many 1,000 or less attacks, so I don't think Crush Card Virus is going to be too live, so let's wait and maybe use another virus instead. Deck Dev Virus. Deck Dev Virus says tribute a dark monster with 2,000 or more attack, which is great, and it destroys monsters with 2,000 or less attack. And this is the one virus that doesn't have like a weird errata on it. So this one is probably one of the better viruses, except it only targets, it only destroys mini monsters for tributing a big dark monster. And we have Grinning Grave Virus over there that works with tributing big dark monsters, so we'll probably leave this job up to Grinning Grave Virus for now. Eradicator Epidemic Virus, this little baby is at 1 as well, but it says tribute 1 dark monster with 2,500 or more attack and declare spell or trap, and it discards everything. Again, not errated, but a really powerful virus card, so I think we're definitely going to be running one of these babies at least. The other 2, because it's at 1, we can discard. Wowie wowie, this is getting pretty full. Both pretty full, like pretty and pretty full. So got a couple cards left, as you can see here. So let's just go over a couple of them. Some more, they might start to be a little off screen. Full Force Virus tributes one with 2,000 or more defense, and destroys monsters with 1,500 or less defense. This is okay, but I feel like we're going to start running over with a little too many traps for now. So I'm going to put it to one side for now, but we might come back to it a little bit later once we start cutting and shaving off quantities. Dark Light, no. Just, nah, it's not worth it. Trap of Darkness, allows us to set a trap, which is not great, so we're not going to run that. Triple Mind Crush, oh baby, we're definitely going to run, because virtually everything in the meta currently searches. So in our limited card pool, there's no reason not to play 3. As you get smarter and as you play in more tournaments, you'll be able to kind of read your opponent, and Mind Crush will generally, at the very least, kind of go 1 for 1, which is pretty good. So we are going to add that to our pile. So we've got a couple of traps here, and then we've got a couple more traps. We've got Rise to Full Height, which doesn't quite work too much. let's just see. Let's have a look at its synergy quickly. Nah, it's not too great. You'd think it might have some synergy with Recurring Nightmare, but it doesn't, because as soon as it goes to Graveyard, the stats reset. So it just gives us a big wall, which is not always that great and doesn't really help with our scenario. Curse of Darkness is an amazing card, but we're definitely not going to run it in the main deck because of all of those spells that we're running, probably at 2 to 3 of for the most part. So not going to run this, but really good card for the side deck, guys, if you want to consider that. Sinister Yorishiro. Oh, actually, this is pretty good. You can normal summon 1 level 5 or higher fiend without tribute. Let's have a look at, well, you can normal summon Vanty's Fiend, which is pretty cool. But I think it's a little too situational. It takes like basically 2 turns to set up and can't be searched by Lilith. So I'll give this one a pass. And then obviously we have our Torment tokens and our Dual Link tokens, which will obviously go into our deck, right? Just joking. So those are going to go over there, a little bit off screen. So now we have a pool of cards to work with our deck. So what do we have here? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 34, 37, 38, 41. 41 plus 12 is 53. So we have a 53 card deck currently with all of these cards in play. So we only have to cut 13 cards to get to a solid main deck. So now we start the process of elimination, and this is a pretty easy one. First off, we're not actually running that many spells and traps. Generally, with these kinds of builds, I want to stick to about 20 monsters to 20 spells or traps. And currently, that is our exact, or we have 19 spells and traps actually, because we have 12 spells and 7 traps, which makes 19. So I think all of these guys in their current ratios are pretty good. We have the ability for Lilith to search out any of our 7 traps from our deck, which is pretty good. So all of these guys, 19 cards accounted for, which means that a lot of our cutting will need to come from our monster lineup. So let's go through some of that. First off, let's just go with the obvious ones. We're not going to be wanting to run more than probably about 1 Caius. The reason for that is because he's a really big monster, kind of tough to get out in some cases. So 1 is fine. I'm going to cut Legendary Mudge Garzet also to 2 for now. So that's already 3 cards down of the 13 that we need to get down. Because we wouldn't want to just open Legendary Mudge Garzet immediately. We want a little bit of setup before you run him. So we might want to run him, but we'll have to wait a bit. Similarly, Phantom of Chaos requires a bit of setup, so we're going to leave him out of the fray for now. And then we can start working on the rest of our thing. So I think for now we're going to keep all the foils, so the Diablos, the Liliths and stuff at 3. And we can start striking off some other stuff. Now, first off, we definitely need some sort of low-level monsters. I mean, we have Arma and some other stuff, but we want something that like we can sort of easily summon for the most part. So we want to see what we're going to be able to keep. We definitely want to keep, I think, the Infernal Dragons because they're just good beaters. We want to keep the Tour Guide in that realm as well. So we definitely want to keep those. We are running 19 traps. So how often is Curry Bandit going to go off? Curry Bandit is likely to go off reasonably often because it's about 50-50 chance. But I don't think we'll necessarily want to be running 3 because we want to see sometimes but not all the time. So let's cut Curry Bandit to 2 for now. So that's 5 cards out for those of you keeping count. So that's pretty cool for now. Phantom of Chaos we're also going to keep at 2. And now we have to consider Stygian Street Patrol again. Stygian Street Patrol allows us to banish cards from our graveyard to special summon a fiend with 2,000 or less attack from our hand. Which is pretty cool because a lot of these monsters can be special. There's no restriction on them. So I definitely think we should probably run at least 2 Stygian Street Patrol because it just helps us once it's dead extend our combos quite a lot. So we're looking pretty nifty here with our monster lineup for now, but we are still about 7 cards short in terms of cutting. So let's carry on with that. Vandy's Fiend again. Vandy's Fiend's amazing, but again, we don't want to break with too many high-level monsters. So let's cut that to 2 as well as Diablos. And now that is like blasphemy, but Diablos can special himself from the graveyard as well as your hand. So like if one dies, you can always special him back. So I definitely think that he can go to 2 without us worrying too much about what that's going to do. Sorry, I keep knocking my camera over. So he's now at 2, which means that we have cut a bunch of cards. If you want to see what we've cut so far, I'll just put them over here. So this is also in currently, so we're still looking at some of these cards. We have already cut 2 Chaos, 1 Magigarzed, 1 Phantom Chaos, 1 Curry Band, 1 Street Patrol, 1 Vandy's Fiend, 1 Diablos. So that gives us a total of 8 cards that we've cut. So we still need to cut 5 cards, if my math is correct. So we know for a fact, right, that we're not going to want to cut more Liliths. So Lilith can go down here. We're not going to want to cut more Diabloses because Diablos is good. And we're not going to want to cut more Armas because Arma can also act as a terraforming because we don't have terraforming in the structure deck. As well as it's just quick, you can discard it and add it back immediately with the Recurring Nightmares. So we're definitely going to keep 3 of those as well. So now we have potentially 6 cards that we want to cut 5 of. So that is a little bit rough. So I think the Magigarzed is going to go down to 1, just as like a lucky tech, if you know what I'm saying. And then we have all of these. So we still need to cut 4 cards from here, which means that by and large, we're probably going to cut the Chaos, because the Chaos, I guess he's just a victim at this point. And we're going to have to cut 2 Fiendish Rhino Warriors, because who even plays Fiendish Rhino Warrior anymore? That's an inside joke for anyone who doesn't get it. So there we have our monster lineup in total. So let's quickly go over that. So we have a monster lineup here where let's just count how many monsters we have in this monster lineup. So these are all of our monsters over here, right? So let's just count them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So there are 21 cards. So there we have a 40 card deck. I don't really like the fact, however, that we have kind of, like, let's try and fit in at least 1 more Fiendish Rhino Warrior. So let's just see over here what we can maybe cut for the Fiendish Rhino Warrior, just because it's a really good, useful level 4 that just basically protects the rest of our dudes. Like, remember, I'm pretty sure Fires of Doomsday creates Fiend tokens, which, yeah, that's great. So Fiendish Rhino Warrior can protect things like our Fire of Doomsday tokens. So we definitely want to find space for the Fiendish Rhino Warrior, at least at 2. So I think we should probably maybe cut. Let's go with the Curry Bandit, because it kind of does the fewest things. I mean, running the 1 Curry Bandit is not great. Actually, no, you know what? I've got the better solution. Let's just run 42 cards and run the Fiendish Rhino Warrior as well, because you know what? 42 cards, really not that bad. It's not really that low. It doesn't lower the consistency that much compared to 40. So I think 42 cards here is the perfect scenario, the perfect solution to this scenario. So we're just gonna, bam, add those 2 on top, and we have our final deck. So, after that little cut there, we now have our final deck of 42 cards. So let's do a quick deck file to see exactly where we're ending up. So, starting off, we got 3 Arma, because we want to search Terraforming. 3 Lilith, because best card in the deck, because she searches traps. 2 Diablos, because boss monster. Triple Fiendish Rhino Warrior, because Fiendish Rhino Warrior is good. Triple Infernal Dragon, because we want big beaters. 2 Vandy's Fiend, because we don't like special summons. 2 Stygian Street Patrol to extend our combos. 2 Phantom of Chaos to make our to copy our monster effect as well as attack value, so that in case we need to, we can. Double Curry Bandit for potentially digging out some traps and spells, as well as giving us a tribute to allow us to trigger our Diabloses pretty basically. And then the one-offs, the Tour Guide with the Fiendish Runner and Curry Bandit targets, and the one Legendary Maju Garzet for Spice. And then on to the spell lineup, pretty basic. 3 Fires of Doomsday to act basically like scapegoat tokens, just to give us as much monster sort of advantage as possible. 3 Allure of Darkness for consistency. 3 Recurring Nightmare, because we like adding back cards and getting pluses. 3 Lair of Darkness, because it is, like, aside from Lilith, the actual best card in the deck. And then the traps, triple Mind Crush, triple Grave Grinning Virus, and 1 Eradicator Epidemic Virus for a total of 42 cards. Hopefully it's a interesting deck that you guys will try out if you're new to the game. For those of you who aren't, you're probably thinking that it's garbage and there's so much more to add, which of course you can do. New guys, try and get your hands on things like Terraforming. Infernoids also work really, really well with this deck if you want to try out that strategy, although that's a little bit more of a long-term thing because Infernoids take a little while to get. But there are tons of different ways you can go about this strategy. Please tell me about them in the comment section below. Please like this video, like it if you enjoyed this kind of content, want to see similar type of stuff. I'm sorry, I know it ran a little bit long, but I hope you liked it. Please think about liking the content, maybe subscribing to the channel, commenting down below what you thought of this, what you think of the Lair Darkness structure deck in general, and I'll see you guys next time.